Welcome to the podcast. Today we're diving deep into the emotional spectrum, exploring the nuanced differences among sympathy, empathy, pity, and compassion.
Awesome, let's dig in. So let's start with sympathy. What's the core idea there?
Well, sympathy is essentially about understanding and acknowledging another person's suffering, but it's done from your own perspective. It's like you feel sorry for someone, and that activates brain regions tied to self-related processing and social cognition.
Yep, got it. Right, so it's more about feeling concern and wanting to offer support, even if it doesn't fully capture, what that person is feeling internally.
Exactly. But then empathy takes it a step further. With empathy, you're directly experiencing the other person's emotions. You sort of put yourself in their shoes, feeling what they feel, activating mirror neuron systems and other regions that help you resonate with those emotions.
That immersive element is key. That sounds almost like an emotional mirror, right? Do you think there's a risk of becoming overwhelmed if you're too empathetic?
Absolutely. And that's one of the downsides noted. Excessive empathy can lead to emotional burnout and even vicarious trauma, especially in professions heavily involved with others' pain.
I can see that. It's like walking a tightrope between connecting deeply and losing yourself in the process.
Exactly. Then there's pity, which flips the script a bit. Pity is marked by a sort of condescending sorrow, feeling sorry for someone but from a place of superiority. The neuroscience behind pity isn't as developed, but it's clear that it often involves less mirroring and more self-focused areas.
Right, that sense of detachment really shows in pity. So pity might express concern, but ultimately create a barrier because it keeps you emotionally distant, right?
Yep, it tends to evoke superficial help rather than a deep desire to actually support someone in a meaningful way. Now, compassion is like the gold standard in this mix.
Gold standard? Tell me more about that.
Compassion involves a deep awareness of another's suffering, but it really goes into action. It's not just about feeling, but about wanting to actively alleviate that suffering. Neuroscientifically, it activates the empathy network as well as reward and motivation areas.
That drive to act is so crucial. It sounds like compassion is emotion plus action, almost like the bridge between feeling and doing.
Exactly. And that's why in real-life scenarios, say, if your friend Sarah loses her job, your response defines the emotion. Sympathy might be sending a quick text offering support. Empathy, calling her to talk through the stress. Pity, maybe posting on social media while feeling detached. And compassion, offering to help with her resume or networking.
Right, the differences really show in the actual response. That scenario really frames the distinctions. But what about when these emotions play out in, say, business settings?
Great question. In the workplace, sympathy might help build rapport, but it often doesn't facilitate change. Empathy, on the other hand, can unlock better negotiations and deeper customer relationships because it supports trust. However, pity in business is rarely beneficial. It can undermine confidence, while compassion leads to actionable solutions, like supporting a stressed colleague or resolving client issues.
Yeah, it's interesting how context shifts the utility of each emotion. But I have a slight concern here. Sometimes, excessive empathy might even cloud decision-making, especially when negotiations are involved, right?
That's a really good point. Too much empathy can indeed blur the lines between understanding and compromising too quickly, potentially undermining your own business interests. It's about balancing empathy with logic and maintaining healthy boundaries.
That balance is critical.
Exactly. And speaking of boundaries, there's also this whole discussion about the downsides across the spectrum. For instance, sympathy can sometimes result in a self-focus on your discomfort, and compassion, despite its positives, can lead to what's known as compassion fatigue if overdone.
And it seems like each of these emotions can lead to not just personal effects, but even broader interpersonal impacts, like influencing how we relate to personality disorders.
Right. In fact, when we look at personality disorders, we see interesting patterns. For example, in narcissistic personality disorder, expressed sympathy might be misinterpreted as validation of superiority, while individuals with borderline personality disorder might be especially sensitive to pity, feeling further devalued.
Yeah, the interplay gets pretty complex. And then there's dependent personality disorder, where individuals might latch onto highly empathic people, creating unhealthy dynamics.
Exactly. And on the flip side, antisocial personality disorder is often marked by a lack of compassion. Neuroscientific research, like that spearheaded by Hare, shows that deficits in compassion correlate with disregard for others' rights.
It's like a missing emotional ingredient.
Yes. And moving into the post-trauma realm, childhood trauma can significantly disrupt how these emotions are developed. For instance, Neglectful or invalidating environments might stifle genuine sympathy or empathy, while exposure to cruelty can stunt the growth of compassion.
It's fascinating how early experiences shape our emotional toolkit. And I assume that's where therapeutic interventions come in?
Absolutely. Trauma-focused therapies, emotion regulation skills training, and compassion-based therapies are all designed to restore balance. They help individuals rebuild these emotions in a healthy way.
Therapy really makes a difference. And in these interventions, active listening and mindful language are key tools, right?
Exactly. Practices like mindful self-compassion and setting boundaries help prevent burnout and ensure that empathy and compassion remain sustainable.
Right, keeping that balance is essential.
Now, let's pivot to a psychodynamic perspective. This framework emphasizes that our capacity for these emotions is deeply tangled with early unconscious experiences and defense mechanisms.
So, in a psychodynamic view, defense mechanisms like projection, denial, or intellectualization can distort how we experience sympathy or empathy, right?
Exactly. For instance, someone might project their own vulnerabilities onto others, leading them to express pity as a way of distancing themselves from their own emotional pain.
And that kind of defense can really skew relationships.
Right. And then there's the role of object relations, early attachment patterns that set the stage for how we understand and connect with others later in life. If those relationships were inconsistent, you might end up with splitting, where people are seen as all good or all bad, undermining true empathy and compassion.
It's like having a faulty lens through which you view people, which then impacts how you relate to them on an emotional level.
Precisely. Consider a case like Sarah, a high-achieving professional who expresses exaggerated pity towards her coworkers. Her behavior can be seen as a projection of her own fears of inadequacy. Essentially, her need to pity masks her vulnerability and reinforces a critical internal narrative.
That's a really intriguing analysis. But isn't there a risk that too much analysis like this might pathologize normal emotional responses? I mean, can't some degree of pity or even sympathy be adaptive?
You raise a fair point. These emotions, in their balanced forms, are certainly adaptive. It's the extremes and the misuse, where they interfere with genuine connection, or in Sarah's case, serve to bolster a fragile self-image, that become problematic.
Moderate expressions can be healthy.
Right, it's all about context and intensity. The key takeaway is that while all these emotional responses, sympathy, empathy, pity, and compassion, play roles in our lives, understanding their limitations and appropriate applications is crucial.
And that's where strategies like active listening, clear boundary setting, and mindful language really become essential tools in both personal and professional contexts.
Exactly. And in leadership, conflict resolution, or even creative pursuits, being aware of how these emotions function can transform interpersonal dynamics. It enables us to be supportive while also maintaining our own well-being.
Yeah, that balance really is the secret sauce. So when we think about implementing these insights, from therapy to business negotiations, it's all about finding that sweet spot between understanding, action, and self-care.
Absolutely. It's like, carefully calibrating your internal compass. Too much empathy might leave you drained, too little leaves relationships shallow, but with the right balance, you can build trust, foster growth, and actually create environments where everyone feels seen and supported.
That really sums it up. What a fascinating journey through how our brains and our experiences shape these crucial emotions. Always something new to consider about how we respond to and help others.
For sure. And whether you're navigating interpersonal dynamics at work or dealing with personal trauma, this framework gives us a roadmap for healthier, more constructive emotional responses.
Right, thanks for that insight. Well, that wraps our deep dive today. It's been an engaging conversation about the spectrum of emotional responses, from sympathy to compassion, and the underlying dynamics that drive them.
Thanks for joining this exploration. Keep balancing those emotions, folks. Until next time.